What's happening, folks? Back with another reaction, back with some more Blancmange, and we're returning to Mange Tout, 1984. Thank you again to Mr. Solo. And the next track is All Things Are Nice, which sounds like a very philosophical position to take. Of course, it could be ironic or sarcastic, but looking at it at face value, seemingly the implication or a possible interpretation would be that every event, every process, every experience has value, has some aspect that can be utilized or learned as a lesson. There is something nice in all things. Now, I suppose I would be inclined to interpret it with a grain of salt, the idea that there may be nuance to the phrase, or indeed a nod and a wink and a suggestion that it's not being literal when it says this. So yeah, I'll try to pick up what I can. This is Blancmange. The tune is All Things Are Nice, and it's from their Mange Tout album, 1984.
It's been such a shock.
song, definitely more on the experimental edge, meaning it was more of a dance piece with a bit of a tribal flair and some sampled, I don't know, like news broadcast, maybe documentary, I suppose it could be a film, vocals. And then the vocals that were there, like new for the track, were mostly whispered, and they were just words and phrases. So yeah, it definitely felt more like a experimental dance tune than a radio pop track that would like get, what's the right word, like a single release or something like that. So yes, ultimately the syncopation was crazy. The percussion really was the standout feature. Cycling drums, little hi-hat rhythms, seemingly a bunch of hand drums, which I get it, that could be a drum machine, but either way, lots of little cycling syncopated drum rhythms, then that dynamic electric and not quite acidic but close bass line, which had a real electronic elasticity to it. And yes, again, if there is a major theme here, or if there are like lyrics to speak of, I didn't really catch them. I certainly heard the title phrase whispered breathily, and then the sampled vocals, something about, don't you know it was the Eastern Front, not the Western Front, where World War II was decided, and then some other person saying, well, like, I don't even know what that means, which there's a bit of comedy there, but I don't really know how that fits with the title phrase, if there is a connection. It could just be an eccentric bit of soundbite sampling. But yeah, it felt like a tune, again, designed for the dance floor, but not in a straightaway, like, it's going to be a top, a hit on the dance floor, is, a 12-inch that everyone's going to want to get. More like just doing this crazy tribal, dense rendering of a dance floor tune. Again, something like you might hear on a 12-inch mix, or a special 7-inch mix or something like that. So a really crazy one, compelling. Like, it definitely had me entranced with all the percussive cycling, and waiting to see, like, oh, what is that sample? What did he say? How does this relate to World War II? So a really engaging tune, though, as I said, seemingly one that would not be designed for a single release, but more like, we're just exploring the world of like synth dance in the like tribal vein. So yeah, curious to hear what other people have to say. Let me know, and I will see you for the next one. Peace.